sleeping, thinking you were it, laughing like I got it. I don't.
We were talking anyway, probably. We had mentioned it when we first worked together on Discount that we would eventually work together at some point. I was just in Paris and I think I texted you.
Yeah.
We quickly we met up.
Nothing else is making much sense now.
No, that was
No.
just like let's have time in studio and see what happens.
With each other.
Actually, like the first session, we had 2 or 3 songs,
Yeah.
really good,
Yeah.
and we were like, wow.
The game changed, I think, actually when Delilah came on,
Yeah,
really.
totally.
I mean, that's what we were looking for. We had these sort of okay skeletons, and when Delilah came, it really made it something special.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's right, it's true. Though. I don't usually say things like that.
Chinese whispers, another forged dreams.
Yeah, definitely. That's the. I mean, I like that philosophy. That's like a Turkish dish, but it's. I like that. I can't say that word. Philosophy, generally with music, I find I like to strip it all back down. Simple's best. When it works without anything really happening, I think it really works, personally.
Yeah, but actually, when there is not too much that happen, that works always.
Yeah, it was it's like a small engine supporting. I was about to say a boring story, but not only because of some of the stories I made up. It's a small engine supporting an emotional narrative. That doesn't make sense. Sorry, I'm going to stop talking.
How do you make me feel?
I tried to put more stuff in the production, but it didn't work. Every time, it's one sound too much, Then we threw everything away.
No, it wasn't. They made me feel very welcome, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun making the records.
Because they were laughing at my accent. And that made the session really easy.
I had to translate quite a lot in English. No one spoke French.
You mean for this project? Yeah, I mean we were working together, and no, I don't remember how we did.
I think some of them happened in different ways. Some of them were based on like backing track ideas you had already, had a few of those, and then some we just invent on the spot. It was all very spontaneous, and if it wasn't spontaneous, we became tired and basically, not even joking, went for lunch. So if something didn't happen very quickly, whether it was a story or a melody or a voice melody or musically, we just sort of stopped, and we'd go on about other. We would concentrate on other things we were doing. So it was just it was a very quick process, I think. It took a while for it to take shape, for us to make the right decisions about what we liked, and then it started to be very obvious, I think, and it was quite quick, yeah. I think when you go into song world, unless you honour the singer with the music, it doesn't work. So if you try and honour the music more than you do the singer, depending on the type of music, the balance isn't right. So something like this was very story-led, so you had to kind of honour the voice, so it became the very dominant feature, aspect.
Yeah. And it's easier to me, when it's easier because the focus is not on the music. The focus has to be on the voice.
Laughing like I got it.
White coats, all there is you.
That was where I mean, Etienne was more adamant. He was stronger about the idea of finding someone that wasn't whether it was a female, male voice or something, just someone singing some more melodic things, but we're just finding somebody different with more of a unique voice and trying to get away from a tradition of what people do a lot, kind of this soft male, female vocal arrangement, which is very traditional, possibly quite traditional in France, I guess, isn't it? Like that thing. Someone introduced me to Delilah, and and Delilah's band's pretty ferocious. I mean, it's a pretty hardcore band. So you're doing something quite different here than what you had done over the last couple of years, right?
Definitely.
So we didn't quite know what your singing voice was going to be like in a way, because she gives it quite a lot when she sings in Skinny Girl Diet. It's pretty hardcore sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. we scream a lot.
Pretty intimidating for a couple of old dudes.
She had such a pretty face when she was young. As long as you don't look behind you.
Yeah, definitely. It's so boring to just have a closed mind and just make one particular music. Like, life's too short to just do one thing.
It's
Transgenre.
beautiful.
I mean, we are transgenre.
Transgenre, no.
We are the future. Full stop.
Please just be gentle.
I mean, the bed and the, you know, it's about regret and things, you know. Not about. It's not as
That's
quite
really
as.
interesting, though.
Yeah.
I love that concept.
It's not quite as callous as that, you know. Not quite as unemotional.
It could be seen as that, though.
Well, it could have.
I like it.
I mean, it could. Yeah.
It's definitely
It's a sort of good
interesting.
French view of it.
2 minutes is perfect timing for a song, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's about raw. That minimalist amount of data only should happen that quickly. You know, you don't need more than 2 minutes. Otherwise, it becomes a responsibility to listen to. Well, it's interesting to step out of your comfort zone. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a dictator. You know, I've set up not a dictator, but I've set up my world where I can control it. You know, and that's what I do. And it's all about me and my, you know, cups with like things with my face on them or whatever. You know, and it's interesting.
I come master of neon angels. I'm the night chef.
See how that works.
There
The dynamics between more than just you making decisions. I think that's very interesting. It's relatively pain-free, the actual experience of making it. It's been really easy, wasn't it, really?
Yes, we were mostly agree on everything really fast. That was not like hours of discussion. I like this hi-hat sound. I prefer this bass. That was pretty fast. For me, anyway, you know, all the music I made in collaboration with people I always prefer than my own music. You know, it's better to me because there's something, you know, it's not from me. Then I prefer collaboration. But I have to stand alone at my studio also.
Well, like Baxter said, I came from a punk band and I was in the process of making my own solo project. So it taught me a lot about vocals and using like a higher register and yeah, just experimenting and just being free. And I never really worked with anyone before, so it's really fun to just work and write. And yeah, and I love Etienne's music as well, so it's been a great experience.
Guitar, she says. Fuck it.
We talked about the more, not particular albums, I think we talked about kind of sonic stuff from the 80s and, you know, I kind of like what it sounds like. We use some of the equipment that was from that era, so we talked about kind of like more European hip-hop from the 80s, you know, almost sometimes badly done or well done, or, you know, Mute records and things like Suicide and all those kind of records. It was a sort of vague outline, wasn't it, that we had when we talked about it. We talked about hip-hop quite a lot, didn't
Yes,
we?
yeah.
Some naive hip-hop, you know.
Yeah, hip-hop without samples, you know. Hip-hop
Yeah.
is just synthesizer on the rhythm box, like it's really early hip-hop. But we didn't, like, we didn't listen to a lot of music when we were working, you know. That was, we didn't have really strong reference.
No. I'd been working with a band called the Sleaford Mods, and they were, you know, they have a very simple setup, and I was always quite inspired by that.
Toilet cracking, the lonely life that is touring. I got an armful of decent tunes, mate, but it's all so fucking boring.
Oh no.
Who knew
That's
that?
just love for me, actually. I don't.
Yeah, it was mostly fun, actually. I mean, some of the things I'm really impressed by the sound of the album generally. So that's down to Etienne, and Delilah's singing is probably the best thing I've ever worked with, really. I mean, singers, you know, when you think about singing, you start to worry about someone going, bah, you know, like drowning out the room about singing, but singing in its truest sense is about understanding words and melodies and just something in it's like a wine. It's, you know, it's got a history to it, and Delilah's voice is quite incredible, I think, like that.
Yeah, and that was exactly the first time you sing, you know, when we made a session with Delilah for the first time, when we listened to her voice that was exactly the point, you know, immediately. That was like, wow, okay, it's done. And we didn't make like many takes.
No,
not
at all. It's the person that makes a good singer, not the voice or not the ability or how long the notes are. It's something to do with the person, and that's why it's mysterious, but it's very good.
Thanks, guys. Wow. I agree with these two. It's just a dream team, and we just all complement each other so well. I think the thing I hate the most is the fact that I've got to leave Paris and go back to London.
Clap all together.
1, 2, 3.